Deep Thinky here. Today I'm going to be covering a subject that has been a constant battle between vegetarians, vegans and those happy-go-lucky people that will order an all-meats pizza or chow down at a three-piece meal at KFC. Now what am I talking about? And I'm talking about the age-old question. Is it ethical for humans to kill animals and use them for food? Today, that's what we're going to be discussing. I know killing animals and eating them for food has been around since freaking the cavemen chased the big woolly mammoth through the plains of Africa like 200,000 years ago. And, that was for survival, obviously. But the question is these big mighty hunters of the day with their spears and chasing the big woolly mammoth so they can chop it up and use it for food to survival, is that ethical? That is today's question. Alright, so when considering of answering this question, there's a few things we sort of got to break down. First thing in answering this question, it's such a broad spectrum that you've got to consider. I mean, what's the definition of killing? Well, the definition of killing an animal to use it for food is to kill another body that doesn't belong to you without that animal's permission. Because I'm pretty sure when you're there chopping up an animal, to use it for food, and then the animal's like screaming out, I'm pretty sure that animal doesn't give you permission to kill it. I'm pretty sure in its mind it's saying, "Don't kill me, you bloody asshole." That's what I'm thinking that the animal said. And then another thing, it comes down to human ethics. What is ethics? I mean, ethics is what is right and what is wrong within people, not necessarily what is right within the universe. Because I mean, who sets out ethics? I mean, once we're here on Earth, we're here. There's no ethics. We've got to make our best way in this world as best as we can, the way the lion eats antelope on the plain of Africa to survive, the way any animal eats, same as humans. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the 4 rules that governs humans to try and answer this question about, is it ethical to eat and for humans to eat animals or not? So here I've made a bit of a mind map about things to consider when answering this question. The first thing we've got to consider is human rights. What are human rights, and who decides what those human rights are? And then, when answering this question, we've got to feel how the animal feels. How does the animal feel about being slaughtered and being used for food? Because I'm pretty sure the animal appreciates its own body. Okay, and what is the intelligence of the animal? Are the animals self-aware? And a lot of people say, no, animals are not self-aware, but a lot of scientific research lately has actually discovered that animals might be self-aware and they perceive their own death or being hurt. Now, I've also want people to consider this. When a tiger chases an antelope or a lion chases an antelope on the slopes of Africa, why does that antelope run? And to me, the reason why it runs is because it envisions itself getting hurt and it envisions its own death. So to me, they are sort of self-aware. Animals can predict that they're fearful because they don't want to die. And yet scientists, a lot of people say, well, animals can't think ahead of themselves dying. Well, I think the fact that they run means that they are thinking ahead, because they're like, well, I don't want to be hurt and I don't want to die. So that is another thing to consider. And like with humans at the top of the food chain, it doesn't necessarily state that it is right. So sort of with all these things on my little mind map here, we're now going to discuss the 4 laws that I have personally thought of that covers human development right through a human life. The first stage is the universal law stage 1, and this is the biological urge stage. Now sort of what this means is when we are babies in the mother's stomach, and then we're starting to grow, the mother's body will feed that baby in order to grow. Now, a baby, a fetus, will accept any nutrition it can get without judgment, without knowing what it is, and they don't care what the nutrition is in order to grow and continue as a body. So basically in this law, it states that in order to grow, the body will accept whatever nutrition or food it can get without judgment, without knowledge. It doesn't care. So it really is a straightforward thing as to say, yes, it's okay to take whatever nutrition you can in order to survive. Now, in the biological area, when a person is fully developed, and let's just say they're 20 years old and they get stranded on a desert island, food on the island, and then you start to starve. Now, the body will go through 3 stages. The body will then start to eat glucose levels in order to survive. In the second stage, it will then start to eat fat reserves in order to survive. And then in the third stage, it will start to eat the body in order to survive in what they call a cannibalization. Not sure how to pronounce that. Now, it's clear if the body will eat itself in order to survive, then nature has set out the standard that yes, you can eat another body in order to survive. Right, the second law that we're going to be looking at is the law of innocence, the law of a child. Now, when a child is very young, they actually don't have any ethics about what is right or wrong. They will look towards adults, teachers, police officers, people in authority to tell them what is right and what is wrong. So basically the ethics of a young child in the second stage of development is really told by authority because they don't know. And so if a child is told that it is ethical to kill animals and eat them, then that will become a child's ethics. And then if the child is told that it is not okay to kill and eat animals because they have a vegetarian and vegan parents, then that child, to a certain point, maybe up to about 6 or 7, will believe that it is wrong. So once again, at the first stage, we have a baby, a fetus, will accept nutrients, and even a newborn baby will accept nutrients without knowledge or judgment. It will just take whatever is given to a young child, such as 2 or 3 years old, up until about the age of 6 or 7, will happily be told what is ethical or not by authority figures. So And then around about 6, 7, they'll start to learn about the world. Then they'll start to make their own decisions. So once we get past the baby stage and the child stage about whether it's ethical to kill animals and use them for food, we now move on to human society itself in trying to answer this question. So what do I mean by that? I'm talking about human law. Now, human law, basically, no matter what country you live in, regardless, you must follow the laws set out by that country. Otherwise, there'll be consequences such as jails or fines or whatever the punishment may be. Take an Arabic country, you do wrong there and you can end up stoned. With human law, the human law in any country states that it is perfectly legal to kill an animal and consume it for food. And since people sort of follow the laws and they're not given a choice on following the laws in their country, they must abide by that. So when it comes to ethics of using animals for food, the majority of any population of a country is fully aware of this, and they will accept that law that it is okay to kill animals and use them for food. So when following human law, that is the general perception. So basically, human law says it is okay to kill animals and use them for food. A second stage of human law is obviously the law on which the government says which is legal and what is not, that is enforced by the police and the courts. But then the second stage of human law is religion. This comes into sort of a personal choice on, would it be ethical to kill animals or not? Now, just for example, in the Christian religion, it states that you cannot eat pigs, shrimp and frogs. And then this is also shared with the Islam religion, who says you can't eat pigs or shrimp or that. And the reason for this is they are unclean. They are unclean animals. So basically, Christianity and Islam seem to share a common ground with why you can't eat animals. And certain animals that they say you can't eat. But then you've got the Hindu religion, which comes under religion as well, and they say you can't eat cows, but that's for a different reason altogether. So, because they view the cow as being sacred. So, but what's the one thing religion all religions have in common, regardless whether you're Christianity or you're Islam or you're Hindu or Judaism, which is Jesus Christ and so forth. The one thing all religions have in common is you can choose based upon the religion you like. So we tend to think of religion dictates to us what we can do with our lives and how we behave. But in fact, it's the other way around. People will choose the religion that best suits their beliefs. And when you sort of don't like a rule of religion, people tend to just ignore it. An example is in Christian religion, it's actually sinful to have sex outside of marriage, and it's also in Islam as well. And yet there are many people who will break that rule on having sex before marriage. It's because their personal choice. So if you're grown up and you've passed the universal law of biological urge and the law of the innocence of a child, and you choose not to be part of our universal law, our human society law, free, that says it is legal for you to consume animals for food, or your religious practices, and maybe you don't want nothing to do with religion, then you're at universal for the universal law number 4. And that basically, the universal law of humans states that humans have consciousness. We do have a free will to some extent on whether we decide on what we decide to do in life, and I will cover free will in another video. But basically, we're just at the evolution of personal choice. If you want to kill animals and consume them for food, it is okay because we have that choice to do so. If you do not choose to kill animals and use them for food, and you're a vegan and a vegetarian, well, that is okay as well. So it comes down to, you pass the biological urge stage, you're past the innocence of a child where you don't really have any ethics, and you choose not to have any religion, which some people are, and it comes down to personal choice on what you personally want. So in conclusion, yes, it's a 100% yes. It is ethical to kill animals and use them for food, the same way the mighty lion will rip apart a gazelle on the plains of Africa. And speaking of lions, it's like we sit there and say, we humans, it's not acceptable to kill animals and use food. But then what makes it right for animals to do it? A lot of people will say because they're innocent. But when you think about it, it's a pretty horrific act. You might have a group of lions that will hunt down a gazelle or a deer or something, and they will eat it alive. It's not a pretty sight, and yet we still think animals doing this is okay, but we think humans are not okay doing this. But it is a 100% yes. But once again, in this world, we are moving into the future, and technology is changing. Now, what's one technology that can change with the ethics of using animals for food? And the one thing that I can think of is lab-grown meat. This is a new technology. It was invented, probably about 10 years ago. And now the process has refined to the point where they can now start mass producing especially fish and chicken on a sort of massive scale, and they're still having a bit of problem with beef, growing beef in the lab, but I have no doubt that within 5 to 10 years they will sort that out. So the question is, we've covered it is ethical to kill animals and use them for food. So what do you think about lab-grown meat? That will probably be the biggest thing in the future. And like lab-grown meat will probably feed a hungry world, and possibly when Elon Musk finally stops blowing up spaceships and finally gets his spaceships to the moon and the Mars in conjunction with NASA, they will probably need lab-grown meat on the Moon and Mars to sustain a colony there and feed the people that do make it alive and don't get blown up in Elon Musk's spaceships. So that is another ethical question. Is it ethical to sort of grow meat in the labs and for humans to consume it as food? My personal opinion is yes. If it's ethical to kill an animal without its permission and use its body for food, then it would also be ethical to grow meat in the lab, and it'd probably be more ethical because the animal doesn't die, sort of to grow meat in the lab and use it for food. So this is just a bit of an experiment in diving into certain situations that humans find themselves in and dilemmas. So I'm Deep Thinky. I've enjoyed making this video. If you like it, I'll give it a thumbs up, give it a like up if you want. It sort of helps out the channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.